Welcome to the channel, and today we're going to read a horror story from the archives. This one was sent in by our writer, so let's jump right into it. The night was darker than before, and the silence felt heavier. A distant owl hooted its lonely echo, carrying through the cold forest air. Four friends walked slowly ahead, their steps soft and careful on the bed of dead leaves. Overhead, the wind sighed through bare branches like ghosts dancing in the fading light. Fear made them move close together. Every snap, every rustle of leaves around them sounded like pursuing whispers. Then suddenly, a sound came from the thick bushes on their left. It was a light scratching noise at first, then a scuffling, growing louder, closer. All four stopped. For a moment, the sound continued, something dragging itself closer. And then it stopped. Just as suddenly as it started, there was only the pounding of their hearts in their ears. Who or what was out there? What was that? Thomas whispered, his voice tight with fear. No one answered. No one dared to move. They stood frozen, listening intently to the whispering wind and their own ragged breathing. The forest held its breath with them. Finally, Emma, the bravest of the four, decided to take a chance. She turned to the others, her face pale in the dim moonlight. If we stay here, whatever it is, will find us. We need to keep moving. Her voice, though shaky, held a convincing strength. Reluctantly, they agreed. Taking a deep breath, they began moving again. Keeping close, their pace quickened. Each crunch of their feet on the dry leaves underfoot seemed to echo in the sudden silence that followed. A few minutes passed in this way, tension building with every step. Then another sound cut through the quiet. A loud crack like a branch snapping under heavy weights. Fear tightened its grip around their chests. It sounded close, too close. And then they saw it. Between the trees ahead, a dark shape shifted. Panic surged through them. What was that? A wild animal, a human. Before any of them could speak, the dark shape moved again, vanishing behind the trunks of the trees. It felt as if something huge and unseen was stalking them in the darkness, waiting to strike. Terror lent speed to their steps. They ran now, crashing through the undergrowth, stumbling over roots and rocks. The forest floor, a blur beneath their feet. They had no idea where they were going, only that they had to keep moving, that whatever was out there was faster, stronger, hungrier. Suddenly, a clearing emerged through the trees ahead, and with it, a structure they hadn't noticed before. An old abandoned hut, its windows like vacant eyes staring into the darkness. Beyond it, the dark woods pressed close, hiding whatever else might be lurking within. Hope flickered. Maybe inside the hut, they would find shelter, maybe a way to escape whatever was pursuing them in the forest. Emma, breathless, was the first to reach the hut. She fumbled with the door, its rough wood scraping against her palms. As she pushed it open, a gust of stale, musty air rushed out, carrying with it the smell of decay and something else. Something indefinable that made the hairs on the back of their necks stand on end. Inside, the hut was a jumble of broken furniture and debris, illuminated only by slivers of moonlight that slanted through cracks in the boarded-up windows. Cobwebs hung in thick, dusty curtains from the rotting rafters. Every surface was covered in layers of grime and decay. And yet, despite the utter desolation around them, one detail struck them as strange. On the far wall, a single candle stood on a rickety table, still half burned, as if someone had just been there. Hesitantly, Thomas approached it, his eyes adjusting to the gloom. He reached out, his fingers trembling, and picked it up. The wax was cold, but the flame still flickered weakly. Holding it aloft, he surveyed the room, his gaze searching every dark corner. The flickering light danced in his wide, fearful eyes. A sudden loud bang from somewhere above them shattered the silence. The candle fell from his numb fingers, plunging them into near darkness. They could feel the vibrations in the floorboards beneath their feet, the sound of heavy footsteps above them. They could hear the creature now. Whatever it was inside the hut with them. Terror seized them. Where was it? How could they escape? They stumbled back, knocking over chairs and tables in their haste. In the sudden darkness, fear became a living thing, twisting in their guts, choking their breaths. Emma cried out, her voice echoing in the small space. The heavy footsteps came closer. She felt something brush past her leg, cold and scaly, and a low growl vibrated through the floorboards. Panicked, she stumbled backward, falling over a loose floorboard. As she cried out, something brushed against her hand, something cold, wet, and undeniably alive. They heard a snarl, baring of fangs, and the heavy thud of something landing on the floor. The air crackled with menace. In the suffocating darkness, their imaginations ran wild. Then, as suddenly as it began, the commotion above them ceased. Silence descended, heavy and suffocating. Only their ragged breaths broke the quiet. They waited, listening intently, each second stretching into an eternity. Then, when they dared to move again, they found the source of the disturbance. A hole gaped in the wooden floor where the boards had split under the weight of whatever had been there. But whatever it was gone now, vanished into the darkness above them. One of them found a nail protruding from the rotten floorboards. They used it to pry up a loose board, revealing the darkness beyond. It was a hole to the outside, a trapdoor cleverly concealed on the floor. Who had made it, and why? Cautiously, Thomas peered into the blackness. His eyes struggled to pierce the gloom, but it was of no use. All he could see was endless black nothingness. But even as they stood there, debating what to do next, the forest around them stirred. Leaves crunched. Footsteps snapped twigs. Whatever was out there was returning. It was circling them, stalking them like a predator before the kill. They knew they couldn't stay there. But where could they go? They were trapped. The old hut offered no sanctuary. Then one of them remembered the entrance to the hut was blocked by a fallen tree trunk. It had been there before, but in the fading light, they hadn't noticed. Quickly, they moved to the window. One of them started to climb onto a broken table, reaching for the window ledge. Outside, the creature moved closer, its breathing heavy and hot, its presence pressing against them like a physical force. The heart pounded in their chests, deafening in the stifling air. They could hear its claws scraping against the wood, its snarling growls vibrating through the hut. One of them was almost through the window when the creature lunged. Its claws tore into the wood, splinters flying. They watched in horror as the window frame split, the glass pane cracking ominously. It was too late. The creature had breached their last line of defense. With a final desperate surge, one of them slipped through the opening just as the creature burst into the hut. Inside, the creature paused, its head cocked, sniffing the air. It had them now, cornered them in the hut. They could feel its burning gaze upon them, could hear the triumph in its snarls. With its prey within reach, the creature circled them, sizing up its captives. They huddled together, their eyes wide with terror, knowing there was nowhere left to run. Then the creature did something unexpected. It stopped in front of them, coiling its body like a spring ready to strike. It bared its fangs, revealing rows of sharp, glistening teeth. Its eyes gleamed with primal hunger. They screamed, their voices echoing in the confined space of the hut, their terror palpable in the stifling air. The creature lunged. In the struggle that followed, they heard a sickening crack, felt searing pain as sharp teeth tore into flesh. Blood spilled, warm and sticky, soaking their clothes. Screams filled the hut, mingling with the creature's guttural growls. The forest pressed close, silent and watchful, as the nightmare unfolded within the dilapidated hut. And so, their final moments were spent in terror, their screams swallowed by the hungry darkness.